Hey guys, Not United TV, let's go. Evan, glory, Man United. Joshy, thank you for joining, guys. Thank you for getting involved. Usually I see a little ticker at the side, but I'm not seeing it yet, John, but I know people are here saying stuff. I just want to definitely say a few words first, John. I hope you don't mind. Everyone that has completed the survey, the Barmy Army survey, I want to say a big thank you. It's finished now, and hopefully we can get stuff out to you soon. But a big thank you from me and the whole Barmy Army. I'm sure you feel the same, Jen. I know you completed it. Getting everyone to complete it. It was a tough task. It was, getting it out, pushing it. I was pestering people, but I just want to say a massive thank you. Anything you want to add, Jen?
No, just great that the community that we've got and that you've built is actually able to give this information over. It's a good piece of information for everyone to get hold of. So it's good that everyone's been able to just fill it out. It only took a few minutes, so really good that everyone chipped in there. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Hi, Torin, all the way from Norway there. No, but yeah, definitely. Filling it out, and obviously, getting onto that, we are going to talk about transfers, guys. Well, you can have your says in a minute, but getting onto sort of that survey and what it was part of, it was, COVID is really ended. It feels like it's ended the season. We're all at home. We all want to be watching football, but we're not. What's your thoughts on the season and where it can go?
Yeah, it's definitely looking like behind closed doors is going to be the way forward. I don't particularly think it should be announced just yet. I think we need to take our time a little bit, maybe see what how Germany go with it. There's still thousands of people a day getting the virus, still hundreds of deaths. So it's very hard to celebrate football coming back when you're hearing that news at 5 o'clock. But I do definitely think that it will be back. And I'm sure I'm going to upset a few people in the comments, but I do actually want to see it come back on TV. Obviously, I'd much rather it be back where we can get to the stadium, but that's not looking likely at the moment. So let's just get it back on TV, even if it's just to finish the season, and then at least we've got a bit of football. But I would stress, not yet. I mean, I still think that there's bigger issues in sport at the moment.
United, yeah. For me, Premier League, Super League, I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see, because in England, it's the highest death rate in the whole of Europe. It's not what you want to see. Over 20,000 people have died, and all the heart go out for those people. But I do think football, it does need to come back. It will come back. Like you say, I think maybe just for this seat, just finish it, and then plan for next year. And I think there has to be sort of like maybe a cut-off point where you say, we try to come back. If, say, players start getting ill, that's when, what point do you say enough is enough?
Yeah.
And for me, I said, and my opinion is, unless fans are there, it shouldn't go ahead. Obviously, I think they're going to go ahead anyway. But, they've cancelled all the other leagues. Vincent's saying, they cancelled the 23s. So, the game, they cancelled Tier 3. So I don't think null and void is the answer. But I think, maybe a points per game, that would leave us fourth. Even if we came back, for me, it wouldn't feel the same. And I know you're saying you just want it on telly and the Bundesliga, but I'd never watched the Bundesliga before, so I'm not going to actively go and hunt it down now. Back, yes, I would watch the WSL, but for me, it wouldn't feel right. It wouldn't feel proper. It wouldn't be an actual game for me. I feel like we're fourth already. No matter even if it comes back and we finish sixth, for me, we're fourth, because when it finished, when it was normality, we were fourth. And I know it's only half the season, but that's the only way I saw it going. Best of the rest. What do you think?
It's almost like if we can't go there, it's like we're like letting them down by not being there. I know it's not our fault, but like, especially in your case, I've been to every home game, League and Cup this season. I had tickets for Arsenal and Birmingham away that was due to come, and I would have obviously gone to Liverpool away as well.
Mm.
That's the way I feel. So obviously, someone like yourself who goes home and away, even to our Devs and Sheffield United, because our players play there as well. You must feel like, oh, you just want to go because you feel like you're letting them down as well. It's obviously out of our hands. It will come back, I think. I think they'll at least give it a go, but it will obviously be behind closed doors. And go on.
Yeah. No, I think definitely what you just said there, letting them down. That's what I know. A lot of people will feel. You know, I've only missed since this team existed 3 games, so and that's including the pre-season games. You know, I stayed out in Norway to actually watch them play. Spend an extra £600 to watch them play. So when I'm saying I feel let down, I feel like I'm letting them down. And you know, you're hearing these things about cardboard cutouts, pumping noise through the stadium. For me, I want that, and I never would have said that before. I was never one of these people, you know, telly fan and all this. But for me, I think if you could sing into my phone and then send it to them, send it to the stadium, I want that because, like you say, I feel like, you know, been there from the start, and to not be there is just, you know, they say 12 player fans are there, and you read it, you hear them saying it all the time, you know, about how loyal we are, about how much it's growing. Stop trying to steal Grealish. Listen, we'll have who we want.
Laura, our colleague, she supports Aston Villa, so thank you, Laura. Obviously with obviously she's an Aston Villa fan, so thank you for coming on. Just a quick one on that. Obviously, I'm a huge Grealish fan, but I'm mainly a Grealish fan just because of hearing Villa fans talk. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, if ever you get any Everton fans on. So can we talk about like their players, like women's team, Liverpool? You know, there's names going around there. Bristol City. There's a couple of players at Bristol City women's who have been linked with us, and
who I want from Bristol, but I've got a question in though, John, and it's still about the season, and it's from Matt Johnson, and I'm just reading it off my phone, guys. But he says, with suggestions that fans won't be back in the grounds till next year, potentially, do you think fans will be back at women's games sooner as the crowds are smaller, so enforcing social distance would be more possible?
I saw that question last night, and Shane made a good point as well. I still think if we do get back to games, you'll keep your social distance. So if you bear that in mind, if you're sitting down, you've got 3 chairs in front of you, 3 behind you, and 1 either side of you. That's one person taking up, say, 9 or 10 seats. So if you've got a capacity of 12,000 in LSV, quick maths will pretty much tell you that you're not going to get much more than 1,200 people at LSV if the fans come back. Now, if that is the case, it'll be interesting to see how many of those will be season ticket holders. Because that's around about the same number, maybe, not far off. So then, if that's the case, are you not going to open up the tickets to anyone who hasn't got a season ticket? Because you're only allowed, say, 1,200 people. It's a point to think about. You know, if you can only get 1,200 people, roughly, you know, even if it goes up to say 2,000, how are they going to organise that? Because they don't know who's going to turn up on the day to buy a ticket. And if you can't buy a ticket on the day, then how are they going to start making money off the games? It's a tough one. I do think it can potentially come back with fans, but again, it's the whole how they're going to organise it. Even just standing outside the ground 2 meters apart, you try and get 1,000 to 2,000 people 2 meters apart. All these little things that you got to think of. It takes more staff to organise it. If you've got to get 1,200 people across 4 different stands, then it's more. Obviously, we'll end up with a tennis. You know, we'll end up behind the goal, so we'll be okay. But you need more staff, don't you? And there's probably less money coming in. It's there's just a lot to think about, isn't there? And I don't think it'll be any time soon, but I think behind closed doors will be the first step, won't it? And we'll go from there.
Yeah. I mean, Fiona's just jumped in. Hiya, Fiona. She's saying women will be back sooner than the Premier League, but can't see it being anytime soon. And I think, like you say, you can social distance in LSV. Yes, it will be difficult. Yes, it will cost more money because we have to open it up. But like you say, get season ticket holders and then put 200 on sale, and the first 200 buy it. You know, things like that. Get people in at staggered times. So, you know, you fill one stand first, and so if you've got tickets for that stand, you've got to come between a certain time, stuff like that. You won't be able to use the turnstiles, yeah, but there's talk, you know, of going to St George's Park, and I think, you know, that's a bit easier because players can just walk in and off kind of thing. But, you know, I think it's going to be difficult, but I can see definitely the women's team coming back earlier than, say, men's 75,000, because I think you have to look at it realistically. Yes, people will say, oh, you know, they'll flock to the women's game, but, you know, there's been times where, you know, women's football weekend, it's not happened. There's been times where we've played a Manchester derby and it's not happened. Yes, you want more people to be watching, but I think we should, you know, like you say, season ticket holders should be given priority over, because they're the people that have, you know, already bought the tickets or anything. And, you know, people who've, say, next year, if we're looking at doing it, you should go to the people who've had year 1 and year 2 season ticket holders. Do they want to come back? And whether that people say that's unfair, okay, it's unfair. But like you say, you know, fans have been there. How can you say proper fans, real fans? I'm not saying that, you know, someone can't come in this week and be a fan. Mm-hmm. They could be a bigger fan than me, but I think people who have had season ticket 2 years, you should go to them first and say, right, next year, do you want to come again? Bob, we'll tell you a season ticket.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And we've already paid our money, so if this season was to continue, the chances are it will be behind closed doors anyway. We're going into the following season. I haven't had the opportunity to renew my season ticket yet because it's still my first season ticket. Did you get some sort of reminder or anything?
I haven't had it yet because it's not come out yet, because the season's not finished. So
I mean, like, first season to the second season, did you get any?
Oh yeah. So I think I got a reminder, or I got told, but you know, it was a no-brainer for me because I just picked up the phone straight away. After we won the league, I just said, right, boom, book me in.
Yeah.
But love from India, I love it. Gary sort of saying maybe the attendance will be higher as everyone wants to see a game of football. Yeah, Gary, but that's where you have to probably say season ticket owners only. You've got a bit of love there, John, bringing in the fans, football fan fever.
Yeah, these guys off on Twitter, Football Fan Fever, does a lot of graphic design for quite a few fan channels around Manchester United. So thank you for joining on, mate. Nice one.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for, you know, getting involved. And, you know, it's a time to learn about the women's game and, you know, how similar it is. Because, I mean, that's what we're going to go on to, John. We're going to, you know, everyone's sort of saying behind closed doors and start planning next. And I think that's what's going to happen. But when you're talking about planning next, I think we need additions. Don't you? There's a lot of names going around. There's a lot of tension, I'd say, on Twitter. And the thing is, though, I love it. I love the tensions. I love people disagreeing. Like, you've had your mate jump in about Grealish. Well, you might want Grealish. I might want Maddison. You know, James Maddison from Leicester.
Yeah.
And actually, to be honest, I do want James Maddison over Jack Grealish. But I still take Jack Grealish as well because I think he's a good player. But that's what football's about. Everyone having these different opinions about who we should sign and what we should do. What do you think, say, the main position, or say a name if you've heard any that we think we need to strengthen?
Yeah, spoke about it last week with Rodney as well. For me, we need to be looking at strength in depth in wide areas, and then a few players, or at least 2 players, who can come in and strengthen the starting 11. We can go through each position. I know we've got a fair bit of time. But for me, I mean, I would like to start. Let's start on maybe the fullbacks end, because I think that's pretty common across the fan base. Who should be is obviously, you know, I'm sure the comments will jump in. But to me, this season, I think Amy Turner's done a cracking job defensively. She's come into that role. She's probably surprised to have that role at the start of the season. that being more of a centre back. But I think she's handled it defensively really well. Going forward to one, if we need to get more goals, which we will need to get more goals next season to compete at a higher level. It's not just down to the strikers. It's not just down to the wingers. I'd like to see the fullbacks get forward a bit more. And this is where I'd like to see maybe a new addition to the team who's more likely to get forward. And that goes to the left-hand side as well. I think I've been Martha's biggest fan, especially the first 3 or 4 months of the season. I was there shouting every time she cleared the ball or got back and tracked back and getting a sliding tackle. I was there. I was tweeting about her after the match day. Well done, Martha. But going forward, I think is where she lacks as well. So for me, if I was looking at bringing in a fullback, I'd be looking at someone who can get forward and contribute going forward as well. A couple of names going around. I don't know if you want to jump in there and say your names.
Yeah. Well, people are saying right back. Some people are saying right back more. Some people are saying a left back more. A left back that I know that I would want. And I'm not saying that Martha's not done a great job, but at the end of the day, Martha is a right back, and she's just doing a job at left back.
Yeah.
Because Lotte got injured, then she started having a good form, Martha, and then Lotte, she needs to strengthen up, and I do agree. And I think the game that we saw at Everton, Lotte was potentially looking at the player that we thought she was going to be, and replace Alex. But for me, I think there's a Poppy Patterson, and I know I saw a bit of anger towards that name last night, but for me, I think she's a quality young left back, and I think she's only going to get better. When we played Bristol, she looked like one of the best players on the field. She managed Leah Galton well. She managed Kirsty Hansen well, and I think she's what you said. She can defend well, but she can get forward and she can press and she can attack. And the goal came from down that side when we played Bristol. It came from the left-hand side and playing it Ebony that side. And I mean, we'll get onto that, but as well, I suppose. Yeah. But I see where people are coming from when they say, "Oh, they don't want Poppy," because they're thinking we need an experienced player in there. And then there's talk of Lucy Bronze, but she's going to City, I've heard. So, obviously we don't know a lot of. Well, I don't anyway, John. I'm not sure about you. I don't know a lot of names, and it's hard in the women's games to hear these names thrown about. Mm-hmm. I mean, what would you say to a Poppy Patterson if an England under-21 international?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I look at. I look at attributes more than anything. I look at where we're missing and who can give me them attributes. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know anything about Poppy until we started talking more about it in the last couple of months. Obviously, I come from Man United men's, so I come across from the men's game. So I don't know the women's players from the other teams unless if I've seen them against Man United women's team. But yeah, from what you just talked about there, I think she does bring a possibility of starting in our first 11, and she would improve it. Let's not take anything away from Kirsty Smith towards the end of the season. I say the end of the season if the season's over. The season might not be over yet. But I thought Kirsty was actually going to maybe start being our first 11 from game one. I was a big fan of Kirsty. But Casey chose Lotte instead. So I think, is Casey more behind Lotte, and will she give Lotte a chance this season? She's been brought in to replace Alex Greenwood. She started against Man City, so the intentions were there. Mm-hmm. So maybe Lotte can turn, from maybe a good player to a great player. We haven't had a chance to see that yet. So if that's the case, then maybe we need to focus on the right side. But I do agree. I think Poppy would bring something that we haven't got at the moment. And like you say, she's young as well, whereas Kirsty's obviously a bit older. So if we're looking long term, over maybe another 3 or 4 or 5 years, maybe Poppy, could come in and do that role for us. Yeah. A few comments. Dan, football fan fever. I find it hard to talk about transfers at the moment. There may not be a transfer window. That is possible, isn't it? Maybe the transfer window will just change, change dates. I can't see us not making any transfers. It's a big part of the game, isn't it? But
I think there'll be transfers. I think definitely, and I see where Dan's coming from. For me, it's that in that respect. It's hard to talk about this football continuing for me. I think let's end it and let's just focus mainly on next year. And obviously, I think teams need transfers. There's people out of contract, so I think transfers will definitely happen. And I think, like you're saying about right back, I think that probably is where it's going to happen. And I think, potentially, for me, I like Amy as right back, but I like Smithy as right back, so I'd maybe keep them two there.
Yeah.
Yes, people might say we need improvements, but I do like them two as our right backs. And yes, Martha can stay as left back and stay as right back and can move around the back four, but I do like Smithy and Amy as right backs. And I hope you don't mind, John, but I'm gonna move it forward now. And for me, it's wingers that we need to look at. I think our central midfield is quite solid, unless you've got any.
No, I said
if you want.
I'm fully behind the centre, the three midfielders that we've had this season, and I know there's debate on who should be maybe, I wouldn't say dropped, but who should be rotated. I think Tooney could have come in more. Palmer will be almost like a new signing next season because she never played for us. So that could potentially be our new signing to some extent. But no, I'm happy with those.
As well with May, Palmer, there's young players, Tooney. I think there's depth there as well as the first three being quality players.
Yeah, and there's room for everyone to grow in that midfield three as well. There's space for Jackie Brown to improve certain parts of her game. Katie as well. So I think there's definitely. I'm happy with our central midfield. Yeah, wingers definitely we need some depth there.
Yeah. Where would you say most, right or left?
I think depth-wise, probably the left, because when Galton went missing, then obviously that really showed. But Galton is obviously the first name on the team sheet for me. On the right-hand side, I mean, Kirsty Hanson, I think, has had a great season. I think she's really stepped up and she's gaining confidence on and off the field. I mean, I remember watching Kirsty Hanson in a little YouTube video during the first season, and she was there talking with Millie Serner, Casey Stoney, and Siobhan Chamberlain, and she was almost having to ask them for permission to answer the question. Whereas now she's on Twitter, she's doing these videos, and she's got a lot more confidence. Player of the month as well, I think, in October time. So I'm really happy with Kirsty, but is she going to take us into the top three? That's the jury's still out on that one.
Well, obviously, there's someone that a lot of people talk about regularly, John. And we said we'd talk about it, Chloe Kelly, and I mean that's the name that's going around. She's out of contract at Everton, so potentially she is going to be going somewhere. But for me, I don't think she improves us. She improves our depth. She adds another winger in there, but I don't think she improves our first team. So for me, I would always play Hanson over her. I think Hanson is better at crossing. I think Hanson is a better creator of chances. Yes, Chloe Kelly is scoring goals like everything she's touching is turning into gold. Fair play to her. I think she's good like that. But for me, Hanson just has a bit more to her game. Crossing, creating chances, etc., etc. And she can score once she adds that into her game. Then for me, I think she's levels above Kelly. Maybe not levels, but you know what I'm saying. Fiona's saying Kelly wouldn't come to sit on the bench. She'd want to be playing week in, week out. I agree with you, Fiona. Well, she didn't say it like that, but yeah. I mean, what do you think of Chloe Kelly? Obviously, we've seen her play against us, but obviously you're hearing that she's scoring those goals. What do you think?
I think playing with better players as well, that will probably add to her game. So I do think that she would come and improve us. But like Fiona said, would she come and sit on the bench? She wouldn't have to sit on the bench every game. There's a lot of games that's played over the case of, over the whole season. It can be rotated, probably a bit better than what we've seen the rotation this season. But don't forget, if we want Jess to start playing through the middle again, there's no harm in, instead of Hanson swapping with Jess, Hanson swap with that's the thing, we do need more players. Lizzie Arnott obviously coming towards, I wouldn't say the end of her career, but she's more of an older, experienced player. Is she going to be here when the time's right, when we need her in the Champions League down the line, maybe? So I think we're probably looking at 2 wingers, if I'm honest. And that'll free up Jess to then start playing down the middle, so she can actually perform better.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's names that I don't know a set name for, say, on the wing. I mean, I do know forwards that they might get and they might play them on the wing or things like that. But I mean, that's why I'm bringing up Kelly in a way, because if Casey signed her tomorrow and said, we've signed Kelly on a free transfer, would you be happy?
Yeah, I would be happy, definitely. Yeah. Like I say, it's all adds to the strength in depth, and it keeps everybody on the toes. If you've got someone that's equally as good as you, or someone who's coming who's keen, that's going to make your game raise. I spent a lot of time last week talking to Wendy about players who we've got at the moment who are 7 out of 10s, and we might need 8 or 9 out of 10s to push for that top 3. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean we need to buy in 8 or 9 out of 10s. It could just be the case of our current team raising their game to a level where we can break through next season. And I think I do think that we can do that, but we do need to step up and also add experience as well.
Vincent's saying, have I still got my Hanson picture? Yeah, I think so. It'll be somewhere at my mum's house. But no, for me as well, there's another name, there's another winger that's getting talked about a lot, and we played against them quite a few times, so I'm sure you would have seen her, and I'm sure you know her name, Alicia Lehman. And I think for me, she's better than Kelly in that she might not score. Like I said, everything Kelly's touching is turning to goal. It's brilliant. But I think Lehman as well, I think I don't say that she's that next level, because I think, like you say, we can just add in someone who's just as good as what we've got. But I think in terms of getting crosses in, pacey, creating chances, and I think she'll work hard. I'm not saying that Kelly won't, but I think she'll definitely work hard, and I think that's someone who I would look to get. And I don't think she's on a free, but we'll have to see. But that's someone, she's being linked to Arsenal currently.
Yeah.
So that's to even be linked to Arsenal, you can't say that she's not a decent player to get in that kind of accolades. What would you think if we brought in someone like her?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've seen a lot of her on social media over the last few months, to be honest. I saw her more on social media, and then I started to do a bit of research on her, because a lot of people were like, tweeting about it. And she does look solid, and for that team, she's definitely too good for that team. And if we need to compete against Arsenal, then we need to bring in players who can at least match Arsenal. So if Arsenal are looking at her, then obviously we should be looking at her as well. And then all of a sudden, I think if you start looking at these 2 players, like Chloe Kelly and like Neyman's as well, then we are looking strength and depth-wise, and on the wings with Hanson and Galton, all of a sudden, them 4 players are looking pretty good, and that is areas where we can compete. I don't know the money side of it, how much it's going to cost us. Is it going to be realistic? But instead of getting one of these superstars from Europe, these 2 are more realistic signings. And then we talk about strength and depth in the wing, on the wing areas. So we don't need to go overboard in getting these big name signings. We just need players who can be rotated. So I'm thoroughly behind those 2. If we get those 2, a fullback and then a striker as well, then I think we're definitely going to claw back some points on what we've missed out on this season. And those players that we've mentioned, they're not huge signings. But if you have a look at the games where we've dropped points this season, we've gone to a point where we've won 2 and then we've lost against a club that we should have won. We've won another 2 and then we've dropped points again. And there's teams out there that we should have won this season, and all we needed to do was just maybe freshen it up a little bit, or we needed to come back from when players were injured. We needed other people who could step up, other players who could step up, and that's what we missed. Those 2 or 3 players that we've named there would have turn those losses into wins. We may not have won City, we may not have won Chelsea, we may not have won Arsenal, but we would have definitely won those weaker teams.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of it's been lost. I mean, yes, City, Chelsea, Arsenal, they're the top three. That's where we want to be, but you need to be winning by beating all those other because that's what they do, and then they'll drop points. Chelsea drop points against Brighton and Liverpool, so there's areas where they will drop points.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, we do need to, especially when they come to our place, we need to at least be getting draws. Definitely looking at getting wins from the top three, because that's going to set us in good stead as well.
Yeah.
But when Leah's out, when Hansen's out, and they both are out at the same time, at point, who's going to come in to replace them? And that's why, maybe the wingers that we have now, who are on the bench, not getting game time, they might look to leave and then get in someone where, like a Lehman, like a Kelly, but it's these girls, they're not going to want to come and be second fiddle. They're going to want to play, but so want them to show that they're worthy of a place in a way, because Man United is a big club and we have big ambitions, and this is where we want to be.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's players that's been on the bench almost for the sake of it. They haven't really added much to the especially like being game changers, as we say, and maybe Lizzie falls under that category. We talk about wingers, and she's been on the bench, but she's almost had to play just because she's been the only other winger who we could choose. So we talk about people that coming in. Obviously, we've got to make space for those, and maybe Lizzie would be one of the ones that would have to be sacrificed purely because of game time. If she's not getting many games at the moment, or if she's not being rotated because of her ability at the moment, then imagine what trouble she could be in when we do get one or two new wingers in. So yeah, it's a tough one when you see people having to leave because they've got us to fourth in the league, they've got us to a semi-final, but we're now looking at going further, and if they're not going to get game time, then they're just taking up space on the bench. Very quickly, I can see Clive in the comments. Just want to say thank you for coming on. Clive works for the United Stand, so thank you for joining us, mate. Nice one.
Thanks for joining us. And I can also see some comments. Fiona saying she wants a young winger, and even Vincent saying got a lot loan out. And I think for me, loans, it should be for people definitely like Amy Palmer to get under 19s, get a game time regularly in the Championship. Whereas say a Lizzie, Molly, who's gone to Sheffield now, and she's actually doing great good things at Sheffield, Molly. But I wouldn't say they're older players, but they're more experienced players than say a Palmer. So would it be beneficial to loan out her when we can loan out some of these young internationals coming through, get them the game time to really push and show that they're of that level. Fiona's saying a young winger, and then potentially there's some good players coming through. I mean, Maria Edwards, I'm not saying that she would definitely walk into this first team, but she's 17 years old. She's got about 20 goals in the development squad. There's been about 15 games, and in terms of say someone like a Kelly, who is scoring a lot of goals. For me, I wouldn't want to see someone like her, who I think is good, Kelly, but is she of that next level? I don't want to see someone like her stopping a player like Edwards, who is mainly a forward, but she played on the wide position when she came on versus Oslo, and she presses, she's everywhere, and the things that she can do with the football, it's like watching a younger Lauren James. And I mean, I know that's big shouts for her, but David, who goes and watch a lot of the men's team's academy, watching Greenwood, watching Rashford growing up, he says Maria Edwards, watching her, it's like in that same bracket. That's how he'd put her, in a Greenwood, in a Rashford kind of bracket. So for me, we have to be doing a lot to get through a player like that, for me.
And this is where we have to be really ruthless as well with people, having to leave the club. Not that we want anyone to leave, but for these devs to step up, that they need to be on the bench at least at some point. They're just 20 minutes at the end, even if it's a cup game, just 20 minutes at the end, just to get them a bit of a game time. They can still obviously play for the devs, but they need to be on the bench at least. And if we've got players on the bench who are just not really going to be too much of an impact, then they're the ones that need to go. It's the same for the men's team. There's players on the men's team that are just that need to go this season because they're just taking up space on the bench, and it's going to be the same with the women as well. If we do bring in two wingers or another striker or two, then we've got an overload in certain areas. They're the players that are just going to be sitting there, and they may not even be needed on the subs bench. I'd rather have Maria there, just give her a bit of experience. At least then she can develop into something. I feel that there's going to be some players who are going to be playing for us now that's probably reached their potential, and they're just, almost just there as a standby, but not much more than that really, not really adding anything extra.
Definitely. I mean, Fiona sort of said a young winger might be more patient about game time. Kelly might cause issues if she doesn't play. Vincent sort of said about Di Maria and Pogba, but listen, I don't know whether he's saying it in terms of problematic and getting game time, but I think definitely a young winger, even if it's I think we definitely need someone in there to cover. So I think we need to get an experienced player who maybe can, and I know Fiona said it, can play both sides, and then bring through like a Maria, bring through other devs. Hiya, John. John's in there as well. John's always tuning in, so appreciate him joining. But yeah, Jon Foster now. Let's talk about the main position that everyone's waiting for. Everyone's going mad for. Everyone's salivating over it. And there's 3 names that I've heard just little bandied about.
Yeah.
That's how much everyone's desperate for this position.
Okay.
Laura just shouted us out. Future women's football seems good. Special fan base. I love it. Thank you, Laura. Me and John both. We just started off as, we weren't mega women's football fans. I don't want to speak for you, John, but it was just Man United, and that's the joy that it's brought people.
And that's it, Laura. Whenever Aston Villa, the women's team play, go and watch them. I know, fellow Villa supporters. So I just take them to the game. The tickets are cheap. It's down the road for you. So, it doesn't cost you much to go there. The parking's free. So literally like £6 or £7, watch your women's team play. Even if it's 2 or 3 games a season when they play at home, just get yourself down there. It's a good game, especially if they play Man United, because the atmosphere is going to be brilliant. So just get yourself down there.
Yeah, the women's team are coming up. Villa have got a good women's team. They have got a little like us. They had the Bouldermere Armix. That's where they play, but I think they might be moving. I don't know soon, but they've got a good fan base at Villa as well. They've always looked after us when we've come down. We always look after them if we see them about. So, definitely go in there, see what Villa women have got about them, because their fans are special too. But yeah, everyone's getting now. Fiona's before you even said the word striker, she's already talking about it. Take anyone who'll score at least 10 goals a season, ideally 15. I mean, what do you think, John? I'm guessing you want a striker as well.
Yeah. Can I just jump in there before you start saying the names that that you want to bring in, because you've got the names? We talk about 10 goals a season. How do you reckon Jess would have done if she had a run of games? Because she didn't really play up front much this season. She's had to do a job for us out wide, and it's been a bit unfair on her. And she hasn't had the best season playing in that position. Maybe between LJ and Jess and a new striker, maybe that could be a good force there. I wouldn't want people to forget what Jess is capable of, even though we haven't actually seen it this season because she's been playing out of position. I just wondered what your thoughts were on Jess first before we start bringing in any new signings.
Yeah. No, Jess knows what I think of her anyway. Even if she ends up doing this, she knows what I think. And for me, when we've seen Jess down the middle, Reading game, City game, that's when we saw the best Jess. That's when Jess gets the goals. Even games like Spurs at home, Jess got the goal. You know, when the ball's in there, Jess gets the goal. Yes, there are times when Jess might not take the chances, Reading away. I don't know, I can't remember other games, but you know, 1-on-1 with keeper, you know, she you know, potentially if we'd scored that, it would have been 2-0, and then you know that handball would have happened 2-1. You know, so it's things. I see why Casey, you know, she brought in Jane Ross, and I think, you know, Jane Ross, her goal tally speaks for itself. If you look at, anyone Wikipedia's Jane Ross now, she's got about 100 goals in Scotland. She's got goals at Man City. She's got goals at West Ham even before us. So I can see why Casey brought in Jane Ross. You know, me personally, I've always said it from the start, I would never have got rid of Ebony Salmon. For me, when I used to watch her play for Sheffield, I always used to envisage, you know, the movement that she had. And I used to think, if that was Katie Zellum, she would have, not anything against the Sheffield girls, they're great, but I always thought the way she's just run there, Katie Zellum would have flipped that ball through to her. You know, and I used to think, when she comes in next year, talking about us going to WSL, you know, she's going to score, because the players that she's going to be around, it's going to raise a game, and she's going to do even better. And I thought, this is still about Ebony now. Thought definitely, you know, she's got that about her, but with Ebony as well, she wasn't as clinical. So I think maybe that's why they decided, you know, let her go, and then hopefully maybe she might find a way home eventually. But yeah, I definitely think Jess could score more goals. There's been times where you've seen Jess out wide and Jane down the middle, and you think Jess would have scored that. Not anything against Jane. I think she's great. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think the way we play, it doesn't suit Jane, and you know, I think that we do cross balls into the box, but it's also so quick. I'm not saying anything about Jane, but she's getting on 30 odds now. You know, can she keep up with the Leahs, the Hanson? You know, sometimes she drops deep, plays the ball out, and she needs to be in there straight away. And that's why we've seen LJ in there, because LJ's maybe picked up the ball in a 10 position, flicked it out wide to Leah. Leah's done what Leah does, but LJ's quick enough to, because she's young, to get back in there. Whereas Jane, we've not really seen that. And for me, LJ, the movement of her anyway, you know, is different levels. And the clinicalness on LJ is just, it's like Tony Marshall. Ice runs through her veins.
Still so young as well.
Yeah, exactly. Ice runs through her veins. But that's why I feel we shouldn't put all the pressure on her to score the goals. It should be on more. And Fiona's just saying, and John Fry, sort of, and Gary, Jess, 10 goals down the middle. Jess is a number 9. Defenders hate playing against her. Jess down the middle as a right wing. Don't think she has enough WSL experience. Even Mark's popping in now. Hiya, Mark. We look like a different team when Jess plays down the middle. And I can't say that we don't. I mean, when we played City, Jess was down the middle, and yeah, she was in amongst them. She was on Steph. She was pressuring them. She was this. She was that. Yeah, there's times, you know, you might play a ball up to it, might come straight back. But for me, Jess, the way she plays, the way she carries, it's different class. And Jess, Leah, Kirsty, and LJ, frightening. And it is for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do see why she brought in Ross, because it's that WSL experience. But it's not. You can say potentially it's not worked out. Ross hasn't got the game time either. You know, so you know it might not work out for them both. I don't know, John. You know that. You know, I don't want to say anything, but you know that next year we might not see. We might have totally two new forwards. You know, I don't want it to see Jess here, but she might think I need more game time.
Yeah, that could happen. We could have a completely, not a different forward line because I still think LJ will be there. But to say that Jess and Jane won't both go, we're talking about maybe one of them leaving to make room for somebody else. Or with the amount of goalkeepers that we've got, maybe if a couple of those was to go, and maybe have an extra striker in the squad, and maybe have 4 good quality strikers, then maybe that's a possibility. But if you're thinking long term and building something, then unfortunately Jane's not going to be there. It's almost like she's there just to get us to the next level, and then she's going to have to say goodbye and make room for somebody else. And that maybe then can be the 3 names that you've got on your list now.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the names, people might not like them. People might like them. Football is what it is. Boys, Laura Praskina from Turbine Postman, or I don't know how to say these teams. I don't know how to say these names. But she's a young striker. I think she's about 21. Slovenian. How do you say that? She's about 20 goals this season. I think maybe 15 actually. But in the German league, but it's not just against fellow German teams. The team she's playing for now, I think, is about 5th in the league. But she's scoring against Wolfsburg, against Frankfurt, against these big Champions League top level German teams. She's going into Wolfsburg's backyard and scoring 2-3 goals against them. For me, a striker like that who's showing it against Champions League defenders. Because that's what Wolfsburg are. Wolfsburg are a big Champions League team. To get a player like that who's on a free, it's been confirmed she's not staying at her team, she's leaving. Get a striker like that, I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, obviously, I'm guessing you've probably not seen much of her, John, and I haven't really either. I'm just going on what people say, reading, looking at the stats, seeing little bits of highlights, but from those stats, the levels of goals that she's scored, 2nd top goal scorer for a team in 5th.
Yeah,
I think that's a player that everyone should be looking at.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously the age there as well. So she's only going to get better, I like to think. And if she's playing around better quality players, then that should obviously help her. And we don't need to put too much expectation on these players right away. If this is like the free signing, if she's free and she's 21 and she's scoring that amount of goals, then we can gradually bed her in. She doesn't need to play every game. And I think it was Mark in the comments who says we could play 2 up front, or obviously we saw somebody in the comments that played 2 up front. And then obviously we do need more strikers. We need at least 4 on the books there who can come in at any time and score goals. And from what you just said, I mean, if she's a goal scorer, then that allows LJ to fall a bit deeper, or there's different ways that we can play there. And one of the things that I probably complained about the most about last season is not freshening up the starting lineup, or not freshening up the formation a little bit. Maybe having a goal scorer like that would definitely help. Just change things a little bit, change the way we play if we need to. If we're 60 minutes in against a weak team that we should be winning, just change the formation a little bit, and maybe she'll allow us to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think just speaking to people, she sounds like the most realistic one. There's also a girl called Eva Navarro who plays for Levante, who's one of Spain's up-and-coming young talents that everyone's sort of raving about. But apparently Spanish teams, they like to keep them in Spain. Spanish players are probably a bit like English players. They don't like to travel abroad. So he's playing in her home country. Teams like Real Madrid and Barcelona are looking at her. Barcelona, Champions League team, and if they're looking at her, but when everyone knows about Spanish contracts, they've always got buyout clauses. But for foreign teams, there won't be a buyout clause for her. We could just sign her. But if a Real Madrid or Barcelona wanted her, they're looking 3 figures. And for a player that's sort of still young, that's a lot of money who's not made it. So whether Barcelona or Real Madrid are going to try and negotiate something, I don't know. But she's a player that's also, I think, interesting. Maybe the gaffer. I'm sure she'll say, I won't tell you anything. But, the gaffer even said, I'm learning Spanish, but if we sign a Spanish player. So that's the Spanish player right there who's quite good. And I think she played against LJ and you know, the girls, the good English girls that are coming through, and you know, if we can get anyone like that, even if we get two forwards, John, and play one a bit deeper, or mix it up, and with young talent as well, you can play them pretty much across the front three, probably. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. At the moment, we've really struggled in rotating between the front three because Galton's very much on the left, and Siggy hasn't been played up front as much as she should have done. We know where LJ is going to play up front. There's no harm in LJ dropping a bit deeper. Yes, we might need to change the middle three, but LJ is, I wouldn't say we've got to build a team around her because there's more to our team than just LJ, but she is someone who's going to go far. And if she needs to get on the ball more just to make an impact, then there's no harm in maybe dropping her deeper, but then you need a goal scorer ahead of her as well. And it'll almost be interesting to see the players that you're naming, how are they different to LJ? How are they different to Jess? Because we know that Jess can run with the ball. We know that she can run behind. We know how tenacious she is off the ball to try and win that ball back. We know how skillful LJ is, and she makes it look easy, the skills that she's got. And she's probably the most clinical goal scorer that we've got this season. So it'll be interesting to see what the new strikers can bring. Is it going to be the same and play the same style they've been playing at the moment, or is it going to be something completely different to add something different to our game when we are at a bit of a stalemate?
I definitely think, John, I think it's going to be different because for me, I think LJ's best position, I mean, there was an article about it when she was talking about her best position, and she said it is that forward, attacking forward, not a centre forward, like a attacking midfielder. And I think when LJ's a bit deeper, you can get a lot more out of her. The way she plays the ball, the way she drives at people, I think we missed that when she is playing up forward, as a centre forward, because you really want your centre forward to just be in the box kind of thing. Yeah, you can be in and around the box, but you want them mainly in the box. So I think, like I've said on here, LJ's that picks up the ball in the centre of midfield, drives, passes it off to Leah, and then you want someone in there.
Yeah.
So if Leah puts in a quick time cross, LJ won't then be able to get in there. It'll be, you want your centre forward, you want your clinical, someone who's going to bang you, like what Fiona said, 10 plus goals, 15 maybe, and I know there's names like Harder being bandied about. She's not going this year, but she's maybe a level above us currently at the minute. So getting in these young players is what we need. I can see a question here. People are now talking, John. I hope you don't mind me just stepping on there. And I know Lee, I've met him before. Good lad. Hiya. What about Molly? Molly Green, I'm guessing he means. Talk about her leaving to get football. She scored 13 goals. I hope she sticks it out and fights for her place. Listen, Molly didn't get a lot of game time, did she, this year, John? And she's gone out on loan. She's doing well on loan, but I know people are upset over Molly because she got so many goals last year. I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, John, but if you had any thoughts about Molly, I mean, do you think that's where we're missing it? Maybe goals.
I think it's a shame for Molly because for whatever reason, she didn't turn up in the games that she did have an opportunity this season. In the cup games, she was hardly ever subbed on. In the WSL games, it was always Tooney or LJ first to come off the bench, or Tooney and Jess, whoever was started. Molly never got much game time, and I can't really see that changing, to be honest. I know that she can score goals, and that's something that we've been lacking. But you know what? So could Ella can score goals as well. If we play a different formation and play LJ behind, like we've been talking about, and have a new striker up front, then for me, Molly just keeps on falling down the pecking order. And which is a bit of a shame, of course. And maybe she'll do a fantastic job at Sheffield. Casey will see that and then come back and at least stay with the team. Look, if we got 3 centre midfield positions, then there's room for 6 people, 6 players, and we currently got 6 players. But will Molly be happy just being a bit of a big part player that she's been doing this season? I'm not too sure if she will, to be honest. So
No.
time will tell on that one, but it's definitely someone who's going to be looking maybe for a new team this season.
No, I mean, Gary, we need to be ruthless. Molly and Jane, and maybe one or two others. Lee saying if you think she's worth keeping as a squad player. Molly is great. I love Molly. She's always been great with us. She's always been great with the fans. I think she's a great player. But like you say, since it started, she's not got game time, and she's had to go Sheffield to get her game time. She's doing well there. They really like her there, but I can't see her then coming back and getting time over Zellum or over Jackie. And I think Tooney's doing really well, like you said. So, it's unfortunate, but this is football, isn't it, John?
Yeah, it goes back to what I said about half an hour ago about just having someone sitting on the bench just for the sake of it. Would you want Molly on that bench if she's not going to be as full as she was at the start of the season? Surely then you prefer someone who's going to grow and who's got potential, who can potentially change the game, and not just bring someone on almost just for the sake of it. And that's very harsh to say after the first season that she had with us. But I'm just basing this on the second season. She's only really had cup games with us, and even then they weren't that impressive. So unfortunately, I still think Molly needs to prove something at Sheffield to change Casey's mind on that one.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. We love all these players no matter what. But John, I think we've touched on a lot. Talked about the season, talked about maybe next season what it might look like, some names even. We've not had that a lot with the women's team. You don't get a lot of names mentioned, so I think that's why I wanted to do this, because it should be the same energy kind of thing in my opinion. Sancho, Grealish. Let's talk about Lara and Eva and Poppy and Kelly. Even that's a name that's really dividing people. But is there anything you want to add? And if shout outs, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter mainly, Jon Foster, MUFC. Jon spelled Jon Foster, MUFC. But to be honest, mate, I just want to make sure that people are subscribing to this channel. There's a few new people in the chats today who've come across from Twitter from the men's game. Look, this is just where I started. You try and Google and YouTube Man United Women is hard. You'll find the Barmy Army and you'll find Natalie's channel. So this is the main content you're going to get every Wednesday, every Thursday. Just subscribe, and this is the best way for you to learn about the women's team. So please just like the channel and just subscribe and just tune in Wednesday and Thursdays, even if it's just for half an hour, just to keep yourself in there.
Thanks a lot, John. I really appreciate that. Like you say, my channel, Barmy Army. Even if you just want to learn about little things about the women's game for 10 minutes or so, even if you watch it after the day after and just scrolling to the bits that you like, and everything. I appreciate it. Right. Hopefully I'll see everyone soon. We'll be back together, and stay safe, everyone. Stay at home. Thanks a lot, John.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Nat. See you soon.
See you soon.